In this video, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why the real estate market is not going to crash. We talked about this last week. We talked about 3 reasons why the market would crash, but this is going to be part number 2 where we're flipping the script and talking about the other side of this argument and discussing why the real estate market is actually going to remain strong despite prices being at all-time highs and interest rates being almost 3 to 4% higher than they were just 6 months ago. What's going on, you guys? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're talking about the 3 reasons why the market's not going to crash. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for being a supporter of the videos. Now, let's jump into reason number 1 here. So reason number 1, we actually talked about this in the last video, which if you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and watch that. There will be a link in the description box below, and we'll try to link it up here in the video. But we actually talked about this in the last video. We said, hey, interest rates are going up, and this could put a lot of buyers out of the market, and they're gonna have to sit on the sidelines because they can no longer afford a home that they want, at that higher price point. They've lost their purchasing power. However, I'm gonna say, on the flip side of that, just because interest rates go up doesn't necessarily mean that prices have to come down. It just means that you're going to end up paying more for that house, right? So if you've got a $800,000 home that perhaps, a couple months ago you would have been able to purchase and get a, let's say, $4,000 mortgage. Well, now if you want that $800,000 home, you're looking at a $4,500 mortgage, or maybe even $5,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some numbers here, but you're going to be looking at a more expensive home based on those interest rates because your payment is going to be higher. So that either means that you need to bring down the purchase price of the home you're looking at, or you're going to have to actually end up paying more out of pocket for that home. Now, I do think that will mean that there's a little bit of additional pressure on the higher price ranges, especially if you go $1 million plus. I think we'll see more people go through price drops. If you're trying to sell a home in that price range, you're not going to get as much for it as you would have 6 months ago. But I still think that there's going to be demand for those properties despite the higher prices. There's going to be people who need to purchase despite where the market's at. They're going to need to purchase because they've got a growing family, they've got a shrinking family, they need a new home in a better area, maybe they got a new job, so now they've got new income, and they want to buy something new. Everybody's always moving around and is in a different situation. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is that the job market is still actually really strong. Unemployment is at an all-time low. We're seeing a lot of people employed. We are seeing wages increase. Now, obviously, wages have not kept up with the pace of home prices, but we are seeing wages are actually going up, right? There's more people out there who are earning higher incomes than ever before. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's earning a higher income, but there are a lot of people who are getting those higher paying jobs and are going to be able to afford those more expensive homes. So if you look at where the real estate market might be going, if there's still very low unemployment, this could actually support the house prices with where they're at right now. I think this is one reason why we might not see a crash, is because people are still employed. The reason we saw such big crashes in the past, especially in 2007, 2008, is because a lot of people ended up losing their jobs. They lost their job, then they lost their house because they weren't making any money and couldn't make their mortgage payment, right? In that scenario, there were so many people who ended up losing their houses that it put a lot of downward pressure on prices, and price values came down substantially. However, in this market, unless something changes, that unemployment number is so low, there's still going to be a lot of people who already own homes that are going to be able to continue making their mortgage payments, and that's not going to lead to those foreclosures and those short sales where we did see a lot of inventory and a lot of those distressed sales come onto the market. So in my opinion, I think the job market will remain strong. The GDP and growth here in America will remain strong, even though we're entering probably what is a recession. I still think that we're going to see a lot of strong demand because there are people with those high-paying jobs. Now, one interesting thought that I had while prepping for this video was, what if they actually take interest rates too far? They've increased interest rates so rapidly over the last couple of months, going from roughly 2.5% to maybe 3.25%, all the way up to 6.5% at today's rates. Now, what if they actually take that too far? What if we end up with 7% or 8% rates? That could actually put us in a situation where there's not enough activity in the market, and the federal government is going to be forced to bring those interest rates back down. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It was just a scenario that I thought about that I thought was interesting. What if interest rates do climb up, but then they actually end up coming back down a lot sooner than everybody else anticipates? We could see this just as quickly as it went up. We could see it come back down just as quickly, depending on how things go. Now, when I say quickly, that could be relative, right? Of course, it might still take 6 to 12 months for that to actually happen, but in the grand scheme of things, that's actually a short amount of time. Now, as we jump into point number 3, as always, like I say in every every single video. If you're thinking about moving here to Utah, or you already live in the area and you're looking at buying, selling, investing in real estate, or maybe even building a house with a builder, reach out to me. My information's here on the screen and it will be in the description box down below. Call, text, or email me anytime. I've had people from literally all across the world reach out to me about making that move here, purchasing a home, and even people here in my own backyard in Salt Lake reach out to me and say, hey, I live down the street from you. I want to sell my house, I want to buy a house, I want to invest. Whatever that is for you, I'd love to hear from you. So reach out to me and let's jump into point number 3. Now, the third reason why I think there could be some support for housing prices where they are is even if they come down, let's say 5 or 10%, that's not exactly a full-on crash. What that means is that we've just had a softening of those prices. And the point that I want to make here is that there's still a lot of buyer demand sitting on the sidelines. There's a lot of people out there who would love to purchase, but they just haven't been able to because either interest rates are too high, prices are too high, maybe they don't have the job or the income that they thought they had, or maybe they just switched. There's going to be people in all these different situations, but because there's so much demand sitting on the sidelines, people waiting to jump in and saying, hey, I'm just going to wait till prices come down and then I'll jump in. There's so many people. I mean, if I had $1 for every person I've heard say, hey, I'm just going to wait till prices come down and then I'll purchase, I mean, I'd be a rich guy, right? So there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for that type of movement to happen. And I think as soon as we see prices come down 5, 10%, a lot of those people will end up jumping into the market, even at these higher interest rates, and then they will end up refinancing to a lower rate in a couple of years. Now, that's something that I think will happen. I do think we'll see interest rates come back down to at least somewhere between the 4 to 5.5% range. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I think that's a pretty healthy range for interest rates to be in a normal time, right? When inflation's not crazy, when gas is not crazy, when home prices are not crazy, when we're in a normal time, I think that's a realistic interest rate range that we could be in. So there's going to be a lot of people who sit on the sidelines, jump into the market, purchase a house with the plans to refinance that home later. And I think that's going to cause a lot of support for the market. We're not going to see that downward pressure because as it comes down, there's going to be people who continue to jump in and purchase those homes despite the prices and interest rates. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you're thinking about making that move here, reach out to me, call, text, or email anytime. If you're looking at buying, selling, investing, or even building with a builder, I'd love to help you with that process. Even if you already live here in Salt Lake, of course, I'd love to help you as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and make sure to go check out part number 1 of this series where I talked about 3 reasons why the market would crash. If you haven't seen that video yet, you'll want to check it out just to get the other side of this story where I talk about 3 reasons why the market could crash more than that 5 to 10% that I think we're going to see. So you want to make sure to check that out and also get notified whenever we have those new upcoming videos. We're going to be releasing a ton of videos over the next little bit. We're going to have probably 2, if not 3 videos per week, and we're going to be doing live streams here on the channel. So you want to make sure you're subscribed so you can get updated on all of that information as it comes up. And as we move into doing more videos, you can stay up to date on where the real estate market is at. With all that said, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.